Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. Now, it's been a couple of months since I've done a video on the CB Electronics XPatch-32. So what I thought I'd do, as there's been some updates to this unit, I thought I'd do another quick video just to explain my whole setup and how I use it. But first of all, let me explain what the XPatch-32 is. The XPatch-32 is a patch bay. Now, instead of using patch cables as you would in a normal studio to patch between one piece of equipment to another piece of equipment, the XPatch-32 allows you to repatch any piece of equipment to another piece of equipment by using the software on your computer, and then even turn those paths on and off by using your smartphone. So what I'm going to do first of all is to explain my setup, and then I'm going to go through a couple of different ways that I can patch different pieces of equipment into other pieces of equipment. So as you can see here, I've got two preamps that I've got plugged in at the moment. I've got a Phoenix preamp and I've got a Maag Pre-Q4. Then I've got a bunch of outboard compressors, like studio compressors. Next down the list are my guitar load boxes. So I've got the 2 Notes Torpedo, the UA aux box, and the output from my Rev D20 amplifier. The next thing I've got plugged in, I've actually got all my guitar pedals plugged in down here. The next thing I've created is all of my inputs into my interface. So that's where the XPatch-32 is going to patch all of those different elements into your sound card or recording interface. So at the moment, I've just chosen the Apollo X6, and I've got a couple of inputs on my Apollo 8. And also I've got a PreSonus Quantum, which I use for certain videos that I do for PreSonus. So I also need to patch certain things over there as well. Now, the next things that I'm using here, I've got my guitar amplifiers. So what I can do is to plug my guitar straight into the front of the XPatch and then choose what amplifier that I want to send that guitar signal to. While the guitar is plugged into the front of the XPatch-32, I can then choose what pedals that I want to go through and then what pedals I then want to send to what amplifier. And once you get your head around using the XPatch-32, it's actually a hell of a lot simpler than using a standard patch bay. Okay, so I've got my guitar plugged into the front of the XPatch-32, and I can turn on that chain here. So I've got the guitar going into all of these pedals, even though they're all bypassed at the moment. And then it's going to my Mesa Boogie Dual rectifier. Now, the Mesa Boogie Dual rectifier is plugged straight into the aux box. So if I turn on the aux box here, I've now got the aux box going into the Apollo X6 inputs 3 and 4. The next thing that I can do is to turn on some of my guitar pedals. So for instance, if I right click here, I can actually unbypass that Keeley compressor, which is also plugged into the XPatch-32. I can then, if I want to, bypass that again and then say turn on a tube screamer. I can then choose, if I want to, a different amplifier. So I can click here and choose, say, a divided by 13 RSA 23. Now, not only can the XPatch-32 do unbalanced signals, but it can also take your pro studio gear as well. So what I've got here, I've got a microphone that's plugged into my preamp down here. And now I can choose from the XPatch-32 what compressor I go into. So for instance, at the moment I've got the microphone plugged into this Maag Pre here, going into this Falcon compressor, which is a Valve 500 series compressor. So if I click here, I can now choose a different compressor, different hardware compressor. Now what I can also do is to shift the output across and choose a different compressor. So now I'm choosing the Mic Pre going into the Valve compressor, now going into my other compressor, and now going into my interface. So if you're like me and you're fed up with repatching different pieces of studio equipment into other pieces of studio equipment, and a person that also wants to swap around all your guitar pedals and you don't want to keep repatching all that, then this unit could be just what you're looking for. So I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. I hope you guys got something out of that, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.